I lived in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, little townhome, and I had 2 of my buddies live with me, and the rent that they paid me exceeded my 100% housing cost, so I was able to live there for free, Vinny.
What's going on, guys? This is Matt Faircloth here, and this is a segment that we pulled off of our DeRosa Insiders community, which is a free community on Facebook. On that community, people ask us questions when we go live on every Friday, noon Eastern. This is a brief segment from that series. Lots and lots of great stuff gets talked about, and a lot of it's exclusive for just the Insiders community. We'll give you guys a little taste of it right now so you guys can learn with us too. We hope you guys can join us on Insiders. So go to Facebook right now, click the link in the bio or the description below to join us on Insiders, and we'll see you there.
What's up, everybody? It's me and the one, the only Vinny Celeste here. Appreciate you guys. Vinny, you have a unique story because you got into real estate investing through a certain vehicle that not everybody uses, although I think that most, if I may say, younger folks like yourself are using that vehicle to get themselves in real estate investing and to expand their real estate investing portfolio. And it's not something that everybody does. It's something I did when I first got started, which is maybe one of the reasons why I like you, is because you got the courage to do this tactic. Tell us a little bit about the tactic you are expanding through in your real estate investing career and how it's going, and give us some tips, man. Go for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what Matt's alluding to is I live in a house hack. For those of you not familiar with the term, really what that means is it's a way to unlock some passive income, or it's actually not passive, some active income from your primary residence, right? So lots of us have kind of unused space, and there are certain things we can do to unlock some income from our already primary residence. So that's what I'm doing. I know Matt's done it before, and there's 1,000,001 ways to do it, but that's the premise: is how can you make some money from property you already own? And everyone's situation is different. A lot of us, you alluded to a really good point, which is it's a great way to get started. And there's a million and one reasons why. But I'll just start with saying that there's a lot of advantages to people who are buying primary residence that isn't true when you're making an investment purchase. The financing options out there for a primary residence are usually much more advantageous, and so it could be a lot more inexpensive to get into a property, but then unlocking some income afterwards can be like a win-win. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, well, here's what I found in my house hack, and I think that one thing that people kind of overlook, right? The biggest check that anybody writes every month for themselves is their housing expense, right? It's bigger than food, vacation, car payment, whatever it is you got, that is your monthly. It's paying for that. Unless you own your home free and clear and you still got real estate taxes and all that. I even would be willing to bet you that for most people, even if they own their home free and clear, they are going to have overhead for housing. What a house hack does is it enables the investor, you and the occupant, to wash out some or all of their personal housing expense by having somebody live with them, through roommates or through buying a small multifamily like a duplex, triplex. And properties like that have very, very attractive financing terms. Even in today's financing market, you can still buy low money down duplex, triplexes, quadruplexes, that kind of thing through agency debt and through Fannie Mae, FHA financing. When I did my house hack, Vinny, I lived in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, little townhome, and I had 2 of my buddies live with me. And the rent that they paid me exceeded my 100% housing cost, so I was able to live there for free, Vinny. And I had a day job at the time. I was making a salary before I started the company DeRosa Group, and so that washed out all of my overhead. I paid my entire mortgages, so I was able to enjoy my full salary at my job and had no overhead for living. People discount that more than they should, or don't realize how powerful that is. In 2 years, Vinny, in that situation, in 2 years, I paid off all my student loans, which was well into 5 figures. Paid off all my student loans and all my credit cards. I was bad debt free, air quote, bad debt free inside of 2 years in that scenario. And that completely got me to drink the real estate Kool-Aid. And after that, I was all in, and I was able to scale from there. Continue to live in the house hack until I got married. One of the regrets that I have is I didn't convince my wife, Liz, who would have done it, I think. I didn't convince her that we should buy a duplex when we got married. We lived in a single family home in a townhouse, but we should have bought a duplex and continued that house hack arrangement. But we didn't do it, but that's okay. We ended up okay. So I'm all in on the house hack.
That's the number one thing I tell people about doing this. It is a sacrifice for sure. I'm in a similar situation, a single family house. I'm renting out a spare bedroom too. To speak frankly for a second, when you buy your first house, most of us, you're bleeding for a while like that. You saved up probably for years to make that huge purchase. And now you have, like you said, the biggest bill that's you're ever going to experience.
You're not bleeding for a little while, Vinny. You're bleeding forever, man. This is a doodad, my house. People, it's an asset. No, it's an asset for the bank. It's a doodad for me,
You spent years saving up for this purchase, and now you just to put it frankly, you lost a lot of money. You just put all that into something. How are you going to get that money back, right? And this is one way really to recoup those funds and maybe do it again or pay down some debt. Many different things.
Yet another great thing about a house hack is you can get in, and because you're the primary occupant, because you're going to live there, and because you're going to finance it through first time home buyer financing or whatever it is, you can get in, 5% down or maybe a little bit more down if you want. But your out of pocket exposure is a good bit less than it would be if you just bought yourself an investment property at least 25% down these days, if not more, if not, 30 to 35% down. It could be the possibility of what you have to lay down to do a deal. Whereas buying a duplex or buying even a home like Vinny's in now, very little money down, so very little out of pocket, very little cash exposure to the deal, and maybe cash flow or at least reduced expenses coming out of the back end. I tell everyone when they first get started, a house hack, 100% down, 100% every time should be your first investment in real estate.
Right.
Is a house hack. Because, and let me go one further. Let's pretend that Vinny didn't work for an amazing organization like the DeRosa Group, and he wanted to get out and start his own real estate ventures, which you do. I know you've got your own things, which we encourage at DeRosa, but let's say you wanted to start Celeste Incorporated, right? In being in a house hack, you automatically have lower overhead, lower expenses. And so the nut that you need to make each month through your real estate investing business is much less. So you could go and hang your license somewhere or go do some side hustles or whatever to make the $2 to $3 grand you need per month to meet your nut and that's not what you need, if you weren't house hacking. So the reason why a house hack should be your first investment, talking to everybody, not just you, is that it enables you to have a lower overhead, a lower cost of living, so that you don't have to make as much from your real estate investing business. It will enable you to grow faster than you would if you weren't house hacking, because you could buy a home and have a nut that you need to meet in the $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 a month kind of range if you weren't house hacking. But the house hacking, it lowers your expenses so that you can live on less and you can make better decisions, make business-based decisions, not income-based decisions.
Right. I love what you said too, especially getting started. I mean, I do. It's called Ethos Investments, not Celeste Incorporated, but Ethos Investments. That's what I'm looking to buy, other properties at. And just like I said, you buy this house that I'm in right now. If I wasn't doing that, how am I going to make any other purchases? Like I said, I'm going to be saving up. I just set myself back years really buying this house, and so renting out the rooms allows me to recoup funds and do this. Maybe not this again, but something again.
And you can make decisions based on your asset growth and your long-term business growth versus based on your income. And many people that are just in the straight E quadrant that are not growing a business as well, on top of maybe having a job too, and that's cool. Jobs are okay. You can make decisions that are not only income based. If you have a job, you're going to be making most of your decisions based on your cost of living compared to your income. That's it. But if you're running a business and you're house hacking, then you can make decisions that are based on your long-term business benefits. Maybe a little bit of, what do you call it, delayed gratification. So maybe Vinny continues to live in his house hack for a little bit longer to increase his income, increase his asset building and stuff like that, so that eventually he can hop out of the house hack and maybe buy a better house, live in a better neighborhood, live in a better everything, because he's been stockpiling up his business growth.
Exactly.
Yeah. Tell me what's next. You're house hacking now. Do you want to move out of the house hack you're in? Do you want to level up your house hacking business? What's not 5-10 years from now when you get married and have kids running around, but what's next on your vision board that you've got there?
Yeah, and let me take a step back to what I always advise people with house hacking. And to be clear, a house hack doesn't need to be, I'm renting out spare bedrooms like Matt already alluded to. It could be duplex, whatever fits your lifestyle, right? Not everyone's going to be willing to rent out their spare bedrooms. What I always recommend to people is you have to buy a house because it's a little bit of an experiment, especially the first time. What if I hated it? What if I was renting out these rooms and I was miserable the whole time? So what I always recommend to people is you buy a house that you're comfortable with, that you're comfortable making the payments with, and you run this experiment and you see if you can make some money. So Matt, to answer your question directly, this house is something that I have a long-term vision. I actually like the house generally. I know it's in a good school district. It's big enough to grow, and I think that this house will kind of grow with me as my life changes. As a young man here. So that's
you want to keep it, okay?
Yeah, so I'm going to keep it. I mean, whether I'm living in here in perpetuity or another family is in here and it's a rental, that's yet to be seen. But the great thing is that this house allows me to be flexible in that. It's because I like it. I actually like the house,
So I don't talk about this enough, but with the house hack that I lived in, I eventually moved out of when Liz and I got married, and I continued to own it as a full rental. I just leased out my bedroom, and I moved into a single family or a townhome that Liz and I bought, and then I leased out my room, and so I started making the full on cash flow that property provided. I held it for another 2 years, and then sold it. So you can eventually exit from a house hack. You have to do it forever. You can exit from it by lease, so Vinny could if he wanted to go and move out in the burbs like I live now, then he could lease out his last bedroom that he's living in now and keep the property as a revenue stream. So house hacking doesn't tie your hands to house hacking forever. You should house hack for a little while, but eventually you can move out. You don't have to live there for 30 years or live there for the entire time that you have that mortgage. And if you move out, you don't keep it as a residence anymore. The bank may call you out, but they're going to give you 90 days or whatever for you to remedy and refinance it or sell it or whatever you got to do. And I've never heard of that happening to anybody who was house hacking, moved out, and then the bank cried foul ball.
Yeah, I mean, and let's be honest here. But one thing that I think is coming through in just this conversation is that it provides you optionality. So that's there's like 3 or 4 different options. I could rent out this room, buy something smaller, enjoy it until this house becomes necessary to live in or whatever. I can just rent it out to a single family house. When you're running your numbers, try to make sure that the house hack you're buying works as a single family rental also. It will provide you optionality. There's a lot of different ways about this. The other thing is the house that I'm in, and I encourage people to do this too, there are a few things I have in mind, a few ways to add value to this house that I'm looking at and I would consider doing maybe before dispositioning or selling. But there's just options here, and recouping your funds will allow you to play that field, because now I have the money to do the work on this house and then sell it in a trending upwards market when that happens.
Yeah.
The full story is I was looking in New York for a property. I was looking for a house in New York, obviously. And then, well, now I live in Charlotte. Let me say that. 2 totally different markets. But I was dead set on doing a house hack in either of those markets, just for a lot of the reasons Matt said. There's no, better way to recoup funds, and you're going to be bleeding for a little while. New York, I was going to buy a house hack there. COVID happened. Fast forward, I'm working remote. Why stay there when I can move maybe somewhere a little more affordable? But let me say this: when I decided to move to Charlotte, I realized that single family homes were renting here for $1,200 a month, $1,500, and this is 2 years ago, so it's a little different now. But why would I buy a duplex and then try to rent out for $1,200 a month? Why would a renter come live in half a duplex, one half side of a duplex with their landlord on the other side when they can rent a single family house? So for me, to make the house hack numbers work, I needed to take a model of renting by the rooms, because renting by the rooms produced more cash flow. It also was easier for me to find the asset that I'm in, because the duplex market's a little smaller than residential homes. You have a million to choose from. I settled on that I needed 3 spare bedrooms to cover my expenses. That's because I determined that it was around $700 a month, again 2 years ago, per room. And how did I determine that? I stole the pictures from Zillow, went on Craigslist and posted them up for sale. Before I made my offer on my property, I made sure that I had people lined up like as if they were ready to rent it. I didn't put an offer in, and I just politely told them, sorry, the house is taken or something. But that was an experiment that I encourage everyone to do, even in the single family rental market. Run a test, see if you can actually rent it for that much. So now we're in a 4-bedroom, 4-bath house and renting out these spare bedrooms. Let me say one thing real quick, and then Eric, I'm going to bring you in. What's great, we were talking about financing and buying single family homes as a primary residence, and the advantages you have from a financing. I was able to put 5% down here. And again, we look at this like an investment. So let's talk about some returns here. You were able to get into this type of house it would cost $23,000 all in. The rent I was collecting $2,000 of rent per month. Really great returns, because you have less skin in the game, really good cash on cash. Guys, that's house hacking.
This is a segment that we pulled off of our DeRosa Insiders community, which is a free community on Facebook. You guys can join me live. What we do is we go live on Facebook once a week on Friday, noon Eastern, and people come on and join me live and they chat with me. If you guys want to go next level and talk to me and the DeRosa team about stuff that's going on in the world or in real estate or whatever it is, come and join Facebook right now and go to DeRosa Insiders. It's a free community. Join us there.
Eric, you're at a golf. You must be at a golf outing right now. All right, I'm going to bring you in. Eric, what's going on? How you doing?
Hey, Vinny, how you doing, brother? Since we were talking about house hacking, I just wanted to share a little bit of my story, right? Because everyone's different, and I don't hear this a lot. So I'm in the military. I retired this year, and what I've been doing the past few years, I would what we call bank hack through the VA loan, the Veterans Affairs loan. So I would buy a single family home, basically for free, live in it. The Army would move me 2 years later, and then when I move out, I then rent it. So I rinse and repeat, and I buy a home for free. 0 down, 0 everything. I move in, live in it, move out, rent it out, and that's how I started building my portfolio. So really, for the viewers, look at your situation, look at what you have, and see what resources you can get. It's not always the norm with renting out rooms, renting out this, renting out that. Sometimes it's a bank hack. So just look at your situation, reach out, and get creative.
And then I was going to say, then you get to spend your Fridays at a golf course every Friday. I love what you said too, and I know lots of people leveraging the VA financing option. It's such a great tool that everyone should be aware of if it applies to you. What did that allow you to do? So how many homes were you able to acquire through that process?
So I essentially got 2 free homes out of it, 2 single family homes. Those 2 homes, in turn, I have now you know, a couple $100,000 of equity in it alone. And that, again, that's with zero down. So even if you don't have any money, like figure out the resources that you can provide yourself and start getting at it. Just get in the game. That's the important part.
Yeah, there's really not a better way to get in the game. You don't have to put as much skin in the game, especially someone in your situation. There was, I guess, sounds like no skin in the game, and it's not only pays for itself, but now it's paying you. It wasn't just free. It's like it's a gift kind of, you know. So it's really great. Good on you for taking advantage of that. Did you find it difficult to find roommates/tenants? How'd that go for you?
It's people like me looking to find homes, because in the military, people are coming in 4 times a year, in and out. So it's a constant cycle. And I look, since I'm a married man with kids, I look for a family that's in a safe neighborhood, has a good neighborhood, playgrounds and everything else. So I know when I leave and rent it out, that I will be renting out basically to the same type of people I am. People who will take care of of the place, who need a home. That's the markets that I'm in. And that's kind of what I do. So I started from that and then just continue to buy homes.
Yeah, well, congrats on all that. And thanks for joining us. I really appreciate that.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. And the only thing I have to say to everybody else is, really, if you're trying to get into the game, there's 1,000 different ways to skin the cat. Just take action. You're never going to be comfortable with a decision, but as long as it's the most educated decision you can make then and there, go for it. Pull the trigger.
All right, there you guys have it. That's a whole other way to do it. I love what he said about that, and how you have opportunities, and what you have to do is just look at your particular situation and maximizing the opportunity that's available to you. It's a really great way to get in. It's probably the least cash intensive way to get involved in real estate and get your first rental under your belt. You learn a lot of lessons about being a landlord. You learn, you know, how to create a lease that's airtight, and you learn how to vet tenants. And these are really great lessons to learn, especially when you're under the same roof and you can kind of keep an eye on it. And so one other tip I'll just throw out there is, I have folks on a month-to-month lease here. I love that model because it provides flexibility to the roommates that are coming in here. It's an opportunity for folks because, you know, typically if you're going to rent a room in a single family house, you might be more transient. You might be looking for something short-term. It's not usually a long-term solution. So I love providing that solution to people because you're looking for a roommate, right? They're not just tenants, and you don't just need someone who is comfortable paying. It's not just the standard tenant screening process. You're looking for a roommate and someone that you're going to be living with. So it's a really great way to get started.
If you guys like these conversations, if you guys want to join me and ask real live questions of me and the DeRosa team for things that we talk about, real live events, make sure you guys go to Facebook right now and join us at DeRosa Insiders. That is DeRosa, DEROSA, and join us for our free Facebook community where I go live Fridays at noon Eastern, me or the DeRosa team, so you guys can join us live. See you then, guys. If you like this video, here's a few more you might like too. Thanks again for watching. Make sure you subscribe and like this video.